a 4-part series. ARTisTALK will feature theater and performance artist scholars known both locally and internationally, engaging in a roundtable discussion focusing on their expertise, the current trends in theater, and their careers as artists and scholars. This is ARTisTALK 2021.
A good day to everyone in attendance. A pleasant day to our speakers who have wonderfully accepted our invitation to be with us in this episode of ARTisTALK series, focusing on theater studies and research. And I will be serving as one of the moderators for this episode. I am Nico Varona, an MA Theater Arts student, educator, and theater actor. And moderating with me today is a friend and colleague, Ina.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ina Azarcon-Bolivar. I am also part of the MA Theater Arts program. I am a dramaturg and an actress, and I will also serve as one of your moderators for today's episode.
So welcome to ARTisTALK 2021. It's a very interesting play with words. Art is talk and artist talk. So it's time to talk about art, theater arts, and the performing arts in particular. With the upcoming 40th anniversary of the Master of Arts Theater Arts Program, or MATA, in August, the Department of Speech Communication and Theater Arts has organized a series of activities to celebrate the program's achievements as well as to look into the challenges and the program has encountered and looking forward to future opportunities. I wish to congratulate the organizers of MATA at 40, led by Assistant Professor Brian Viray, the MATA coordinator, together with our MA students, and in partnership with the UP System Office of International Linkages, UP Diliman Office for Initiatives in Culture and the Arts, the College of Arts and Letters, and UP Cineasts Studio. ARTisTALK 2021 will feature theater and performance artist scholars, known both locally and internationally, engaging in a roundtable discussion focusing on their expertise, the current trends in theater, and their careers as artists and/or scholars. The invited speakers include artist scholars from leading international universities and academic institutions like the Juilliard School and Yale University, and will also feature our very own graduates and current students of the program who have established themselves in their respective fields. ARTisTALK 2021 will have 4 episodes every Saturday starting May 8th. Make sure to mark your calendars. We all miss going to the theater, but through these talks, we bring the theater to you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
I would like to congratulate the Department of Speech Communication and Theater Arts of the University of the Philippines, Diliman, for 40 years of Master of Arts in Theater Arts. Mabuhay po kayo! I also want to thank you and commend you for putting all the energy and effort to push this activity forward given the current conditions in the Philippines and the COVID-19 pandemic. I also want to mention here, most especially Professor Brian Viray for being our very first grantee of our hosting program of the Office of International Linkages under our virtual internationalization platform. I wish you a very productive event. Marami pong salamat.
Welcome to the ARTisTALK Series 2021. This is a project from the Department of Speech, Communication, and Theater Arts. And we are so very proud of the team that organized this. And I would like to give a shout out to Professor Brian Viray, who is the leading figure in this project. The ARTisTALK series is a four-part program that will feature theater and performance artist scholars, where they will be engaging in roundtable discussion. And we are so very proud that we have 21 artist scholars who will be participating in this project. And what is this for? Yes, this is for our MA Theater Arts program 40th anniversary. We are very happy to welcome the art scholars who are participating in this project. Thank you for sharing your ideas, sharing your insights on different topics, on different fields of study. And we also welcome the audience. We hope that our students and other students will join us in this wonderful endeavor. I think you're going to really learn from this ARTisTALK series. I think that not only students in theater or those who love theater, but also other students who might want to take, younger students who might want to take up theater in the future. Okay, so again, welcome to the ARTisTALK 2021. Mabuhay!
Good day to our guest panelists, moderators, and most of all, to our virtual audience members. I welcome you to the 40th year anniversary of the MA Theater Arts program. The institution of the Master of Arts in Theater Arts program was an idea initiated by Professor Emeritus Antonio Mabesa 40 years ago, according to Professor Amiel Leonardia. A graduate program would be the natural offshoot of the certificate and BA programs which were being offered during that time. Professor Mabesa, Professor Leonardia, and Mr. Chris Vertido agreed on the plans to propose a graduate program in theater arts. This decision was guided by their vision for a Department of Speech Communication and Theater Arts to be the leading department in theater art studies in the Philippines. We are very fortunate that their vision has persisted for 40 years now. This is a powerful proof of the significant part of theater education, not only in UP, but to the Philippine society in general. ARTisTALK 2021 and MATA Gathering are two of the main exciting activities from May to August this year, which the DSCTA will convene and host in an effort to share with its current students, faculty, alumni, and its potential students the milestones and challenges of the last 40 years of the MATA program, while looking forward to future opportunities. We express our utmost gratitude to Professor Mabesa, Professor Leonardia, and Mr. Vertido as proponents and initiators of the MA Theater Arts program for their bold vision and undeterred courage. We also thank the past and current theater graduate faculty members who have dedicated their services to the department and assured the continuance of the MATA program. Finally, we thank our alumni and current students, our primary stakeholder. Your commitment to the discipline of theater and performance studies guarantees the next 40 years of our program. Muli, maraming salamat po.
All right, so let's introduce our panel. The first panelist is an environmental advocate by day, an aspiring actress by night. She is currently studying MA Theater Arts at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. She is the former executive assistant of the late DENR Secretary Gina Lopez. Her journey with Ms. Lopez inspired her to fuse performance with environmental advocacy. In line with this, her ongoing research is a dramaturgical exploration of the Pasig River as an eco-theater performance site. Her research has been accepted for presentation in international conferences such as the International Federation for Theater Research, or IFTR, the Performance Studies International, PSI, and East West Center International Graduate Student Conference. She is currently collaborating with fellow scholars from PSI to write an article about non-human collaboration in performance. Let us call on Miss Alecks Ambayec.
Hello.
Our second panelist was raised in Parañaque, currently residing in Caloocan and working in Bulacan. She is a teacher, a mother, a wife, a woman exploring for her spaces. She is in her 4th year in Master of Arts in Theater Studies in the University of the Philippines, Diliman, while also in her 10th year of teaching Bachelor of Performing Arts, Theater Arts, and currently serves as the college secretary in Bulacan State University. Her future endeavors are geared towards communication, technical theater, dramaturgy, cultural performance, and emerging theater forms. May we call on Ms. Chaz Caberos-Bautista.
Musta pong lahat and salamat po for this opportunity.
The third panelist is a candidate of MA Theater Arts program at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. He was recently a speaker during the International Graduate Student Conference in the East-West Center in Honolulu, Hawaii, for his research work titled Tourism, Reenactment, and History in Mactan, Performing Cultural Memory in the Kadaugan sa Mactan. He is the founder and director of the independent theater group Young Thespians of Cebu. He is known to be an actor, impresario, playwright, and has directed plays in Cebu. He has also performed internationally, such as in the musical plays Kalamba Joe in Europe in 2010, directed by Cebu theater icon Al Evangelio, and Call of Guadalupe in Sydney and Melbourne, Australia in 2008, directed by Beth Mondragon. He launched a theater program at the University of Cebu called Lab Teatro for senior high arts and design students in 2019. In 2020, he directed a play Kasal sa Dugo, an adaptation of Federico Garcia Lorca's The Blood Wedding at the Cebu Coliseum. Let us all welcome Mr. Emman Mante.
Our fourth panelist is a community theater practitioner. He is a Master of Arts in Theater Arts candidate at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. In 2020, he was one of the recipients of the Cooperate program and served as a visiting research scholar at Flinders University in South Australia. He has also been working with Cordillera Green Network, a non-government organization that does regreening projects in Cordillera Administrative Region to promote environmental awareness and cultural preservation through theater for almost 10 years. He has performed in various community theater productions, both locally and internationally. He also goes to different communities in the Cordilleras to conduct theater workshops to students, teachers, and to cultural theater groups. He is a member of Aanak di Kabiligan Community Theater and Gambang Theater Guild since 2009. It is an honor to have with us Mr. Roger Federico.
Naimbang nga rabiyo amin, magandang gabi po sa lahat.
May I ask, for everyone, when did your interest in theater and performance begin? And paano ito nag-develop into a decision to take further studies?
With me, actually, I think it was a childhood dream. Kasi I grew up alone. I mean, not really alone. Parang my parents kasi were OFW since I was a baby. So, it took some time bago ako nagkaroon ng siblings, like 7 years. So, for 7 years, wala akong kapatid. And then, my lola and my aunts, they took care of me. And they were very overprotective, as in OA. Ayaw nila ako paglaruin sa labas. So, wala akong kalaro. So, I was forced to entertain myself. Ang ginagawa ko noon, I remember, parang mahilig kasi ako nung manood ng TV. Tapos, because of that, napamahal ako sa stories. Parang, I started writing my own stories and performing them. As in, pina-perform ko yung bawat character dun sa story na ginagawa ko. Tapos pala, no? But kidding aside, it started with that. And then, when I was in school kasi, I remember nung grade 2 ako, parang I really loved plays. Parang yung mga mini play natin sa school noon. Meron pa akong kaklase nun, parang meron kasing contest pag Christmas. Tapos naka-by group kayo. Tapos bawat group, merong presentation. Tapos my classmate, he wanted to dance. So dance yung presentation namin. And then, hindi kami nanalo. Ang nanalo, yung grupo na nag-present ng play. Tapos I remember, sabi ko sa kanya, ayan, sabi ko kasi sa'yo, dapat nag-play na lang tayo eh. Tapos nagalit sa akin. Gusto ko daw lagi ako yung nasusunod. But anyway, so even then talaga, kahit nung nag-high school ako, parang I really enjoyed it kapag mga play yung activity namin sa subject. Pero wala kasi akong formal training nung until high school kasi wala naman talagang theater group dun sa school namin. Parang it wasn't a thing. Nararanasan ko lang yung plays kapag part siya ng subject. And lagi akong excited kapag ayun yung gagawin namin. So, when I stepped into UPLB, I took communication arts. And luckily, ang ino-offer kasi nila ay 3 major subjects. I mean, pwede kang pumili dun sa 3 kung saan ka mag-focus. There's theater, and then writing, and then speech communication. And when I found out about that, sa orientation pa lang, I knew na I would take up theater arts as my major. So, I did. And then, na-enjoy ko talaga siya. But when I graduated, parang hindi pa kasi ako nag-start talaga sa MA eh. Parang there was a year pa, may gap year pa ako na nag-work ako for the corporate world. And then, na-realize ko, it wasn't for me. Tapos, funny kasi yung nagpa-realize sa akin ay theater din. Kasi I remember, may Les Mis nun. Parang, nung mga basta mga bandang April 2017 or 2016, i-show yung Les Mis. Tapos, April 2016. Tapos, I bought my ticket as early as December 2015. And then, syempre, parang ang tagal nung hintay, di ba? So, during that time na ipapalabas na siya, I was so excited. Tapos, nung araw din na yon, pinag-overtime ako sa sa office namin. Tapos, muntik na talaga akong malit dun sa show. As in, dumating ako sa Soler, parang 2 minutes before the show. Eh, may rule pa naman na kapag late ka na, parang second act ka na papasok. So, I was so mad kasi parang tagal ko inintay tapos malilate lang pala ako. Then, nag-decide ako, ayoko na, magre-resign na ako. So, nag-resign ako. Nung nag-resign ako, yun na, parang I knew na I had to do something to chase theater, parang ganun. So, bumalik ako sa thing na I knew best, parang yung familiar sa akin. Kasi, academe person talaga ako ever since I was young. Dahil nga rin siguro hindi ako pinapayagang maglaro sa labas. Tapos parang lagi na lang akong mag-aral ka dyan. So parang nakasanayan ko na siya. And at that time, dahil nga parang for the first time in ilan taon ba ako nag-aral? 15 years na bigla akong walang school. So na-miss ko. So ayun, parang I check, kasi naalala ko din, yung may isa akong teacher nung undergrad, parang in-advise talaga nila na mag-take up ng MA sa Diliman para nga sa specialization. So, yun, sinearch ko yung program, and then I applied, and then the rest is history.
So, growing up in an indigenous community, nagpo-perform na ako nung bata pa ako. So, sumasali ako sa mga cultural dances kapag merong ino-organize sa aming community, lalo na kapag may fiesta. So yun. And then nag-start yung formal training ko ng theater nung 4th year high school ako. So isang year na lang gagraduate na ako. Tapos dun pa yung time na dumating itong NGO, yung Cordillera Green Network. So naghahanap sila ng school na magre-represent sa bawat province ng Cordillera. So luckily, napili yung school namin to represent the province of Benguet. So, yun yung formal training ko ng theater. So, may mga Japanese facilitators na nag-conduct sa amin ng theater workshop at meron ding mga Filipino theater directors na dumating. So, yun yung pinaka-start. And then, after na nun, nagustuhan ko yung ginagawa namin kasi pinoportray namin yung mga story na meron sa community namin at kung paano namin na-preserve yung environment. So, after nun kasi, parang nag-tour kami sa 3 places ng Cordillera para ipakita yung practices namin on how we protect the environment, how we preserve the environment using our indigenous knowledge and practices. So, dun siya nag-start. And then, pagka-graduate ko ng high school, akala ko dun na siya matatapos. So, luckily din, isa ako sa mga napili na mag-represent ulit ng Benguet kasi gagawa sila ng isang theater group. Yun na yung Aanak di Kabiligan o Children of the Mountains. So, may mga estudyante silang kinuha from different parts of the Cordillera. So, meron kaming intensive theater workshop na ginawa and then gumawa kami ng play. So, mga folk tales din yung mga pinerform namin. And then, nung nag-college na ako, so I took up mass communication. Parang hinahanap ko siya. So, I continued involving myself sa projects ng Cordillera Green Network. So, nag-volunteer ako sa NGO. And then, sumasama na ako sa kanila sa mga pinupuntahan nila. So, we go to different communities of the Cordillera to conduct theater workshops sa mga students, sa mga teachers. And then, nung graduate na ako ng college, bakit parang paulit-ulit na lang yung workshop namin na ginagawa. So parang gusto kong something new na sana maituro ko din sa mga teachers. Kasi una, mga estudyante, so okay lang. Pero ngayon mga teachers na yung mga tinuturuan namin. So parang gusto kong ano pa kaya ang kaya kong maituro sa kanila. So nag-research ako ng mga school na nag-o-offer ng theater. So una, ang gusto ko talaga is parang short course lang, parang 2 years. Pero may nagsabi sa akin na bakit hindi ka na lang mag-masters? Kasi natapos mo naman na yung undergrad mo. So yun, so nag-research ako and then yun, napadpad ako sa portal ng UP Diliman at yun, nakita ko yung MA theater program nila kaya nag-enroll ako ng theater arts.
With me, it started during elementary days. So isa ako sa mga palaging bino-volunteer ng mga classmates kapag merong short skit na ang character ay baliw, sisa. So hindi ko alam kung ako lagi. Tapos ako naman game. And then nag-continue yun ng high school because most of the times yung classmates natin ng elementary, sila rin halos yung classmates natin ng high school. So high school, same kapag merong contest ng on-the-spot acting, ayan, say sa mga crazy characters. Ako na naman yung napupush. So during that time, ayan, may nag-umpisa sa acting, sa pag-arte, yung interest ko with theater. And then also during high school days, ito na yung nagtatry akong mag-decide kung ano yung magiging profession ko during college days. So I was torn between teaching or anything on mathematics. So ngayon hindi ko na alam yung mathematics, pero noon yun yung interest ko. And then nagkataon, we had this student teacher, Filipino yung subject niya. And then ang galing niyang magturo, parang naging favorite teacher ko yung student teacher na yun. And then we found out that she's studying in Philippine Normal University, and then yung kanyang specialization is speech and theater arts. And eventually, I took the same path. So I had the 4-year course in PNU with speech and theater arts as my major. So yung program namin doon is on production. Production talaga yung experience namin at par with teaching. And then same path, yun pa rin yung tinahak ko after graduation. So nagturo ako, and luckily merong program sa Bulacan State University. They're starting with theater arts. So isa ako sa na hatak na samang magturo doon. And then came 2017. So 2017 nagbaba ang CHED ng bagong curriculum on theater arts na kailangan naming sundin. And nung nire-review ko yung program, ang daming subjects na hindi ko alam. And during that time, andun na rin na sa isip ko yung desire na mag-aral ulit. Kasi tagal na ng undergrad ko 2009. And then yung first MA ko, hindi naman theater. So it's still on teaching. So sabi ko parang baka kailangan ko nang mag-refresh. So yun yung goal, to refresh and para maaral ko yung bagong subjects. And other than that, so dahil nagtuturo ka sa university, somehow required, expected na may research, mag-present ka sa conferences. So I tried joining a team, we presented, pero yung namin topic then is on communication. Kasi yung department that I was part of ay communication yung focus. And then we did the presentation, pero I felt during that time na andun yung interest, pero parang kulang, parang hindi ako yun, parang hindi yun yung 100% na gusto ko. So, I took the risk. Naghanap ako ng saan ba ako pwedeng mag-take ng chances, kahit ako, individual. So, and then, one thing led to another. Nakita ko yung IFTR Asia, International Federation Theater and Research. And then, also, ang host nun ay UP Diliman. Tas, of course, meron din akong dream na mag-aral sa UP Diliman. So, sino bang hindi gustong mag-aral sa UP? Never na, hindi ko na siya na-pursue noon. So medyo parang at the same time yun na gusto kong mag-present, tapos gusto ko yun mag-aral ng MA. So, taking risk lang, in-email ko ang secretariat ng IFTR Asia kasi tapos na yung nung nakita ko yung announcement ng IFTR Asia, tapos na yung abstract submission. So nag-try lang ako, nag-email ako, sabi ko hindi naman nila ako kilala. So nag-try lang ako na kung extended ba yung deadline, kung tumatanggap pa sila ng late submissions. And luckily, nag-reply sila agad na yes, tumatanggap sila ng late submissions. Tapos binigyan nila ako ng certain days na mag-submit. And then I drafted an abstract. Sinubmit ko. And then ayun, luckily ulit natanggap yung abstract. So sabi ko, totoo na to, seryoso na to. So ayan, ginawa ko yun, pinaghandaan ko yung presentation. And then nagpasa na rin ako ng admissions forms, papers sa MA Theater Arts. Then December 2017 yung interview ng magte-take ng exam. And then ang nag-interview sa amin is Professor Sir Anril Pineda-Tiatco. And during the interview, nagulat ako kasi bringing up niya na sabi niya sa akin, di ba mag-present ka sa IFTR Asia? Nagulat ako. So, ibig sabihin sila pala yung team behind the IFTR Asia abstract submission. So, doon na nag-umpisa yung parang nag-spark, parang may nabuhay sa akin na, parang andito, asa na ako? Ang tagal kong wala dito. And then ito bagong-bago yung experience. So, doon nag-umpisa yung on studies. Yung parang papunta na ako doon sa interest on theater and performance studies.
Just like Alex, I also started as a young storyteller, but this time I was working with paper dolls. I can still remember one Christmas when I had two older sisters. The gift that they had during Christmas were like a bunch of paper dolls, and I had a toy gun and a few toy cars. But I really wanted to play with paper dolls. So I negotiated with my sisters and I told them that, can I play also with your paper dolls? So there was like a time when I was probably 8 or 9 years old where every afternoon I play with it. But I didn't play with it because I thought of it as a Barbie, but I played around with it because I thought they were like puppets. So I gave them names, I gave them life, I provided the dialogues. improvised dialogues, and at the same time, I animated their voice. I could remember my two sisters. They would sit beside me, and then they would listen to the story of the paper dolls that I did with them. And I thought that, and then I realized when I was older that was already theater that I was doing. And then when I was in grade 4, I joined declamation contests. And then in high school, I joined drama festivals. I was an actor. At the same time, I was writing the script. And at the same time, I was directing. It was all around. And then I was recognized as a very dynamic performer. And then in high school, I realized I wanted to become a performer. Gusto ko maging artista. So I took mass communication. Yun lang yung naisip ko. That was the only course that was offered in Cebu that I thought that this could be one way for me to be an artista on television. No, I mean, you really like the attention. But as I went along, my first off-school production, I think I was in third year college. There it started when I met a lot of theater gurus, theater luminaries in Cebu, like Linda Figao Hall, Ali Evangelio, Beth Mondragon, Bien Fernandez, Gardo Labad. So they helped me, in a way, shape my understanding about performance. And then I didn't want to become a performer anymore. I also wanted to help backstage. No, I wanted to help people on stage. So, and then I graduated mass communication. I didn't practice as a mass comm practitioner. I was a teacher. I was teaching English, speech communication. And then after 3 years of teaching those subjects, I got bored with it. So I asked the dean if I can teach humanities subjects in the College of Education. And it was in humanities that I incorporated the things that I learned in theater, the workshops they've undergone. So that really inspired me. And of course, because of my mentors, I was able to go to different places around the world. So that experience really helped me become an educator as well. And then I met Banawe Miklat Johnson, Professor Banawe. And then she told me about the program because they were friends with Linda Figao and we were running a playwriting workshop. It was a funded workshop that started 2014. And then Prof. Banawe was there 2015. And she did the acting workshop after the playwriting workshop. And then that really, I was so interested in it because it was in 2016 when somebody hired me to direct a school play, and I was really paid well for that. So, and then I understood that, hey, if I'm going to earn something from this, I might as well do something to make it solid, no? In a way, formalize things by having an education, because I believe that in education you can never go wrong with it. So, 2016, I went to Manila, explored the surroundings, the environment in UP Diliman. I tried to absorb the feel, the energy. And then right there in that moment, I was convinced I want to study here. So I enrolled in the program and it started there. And so far, ever since, it has been a very, very fulfilling journey, and I had no regrets about it.
I noticed that everybody, a common denominator with everyone is they started very young, and then it's a constant journey until you reach to the point wherein, I'm looking for something to broaden my my view on theater. And I'm very happy to see everybody is in the MA Theater Arts program. But speaking of that, so when you started taking MA Theater, what were the highlights, or were there some subjects or fields of interest that resonated with you once you started taking your masters?
With me, yung yung Mata, the other Mata Productions. It was a theater group that my batchmates and I founded. And highlight yon kasi it was a learning experience for all of us. Tapos, also an application of what we've learned so far during that time. And proud ako dun sa, I mean, marami pang room for improvement, pero I was proud of it kasi it was a start. And also kasi collaborative work talaga siya. Like, di ba magbabatchmate kami, tapos parang kung sino yung gustong magsulat, siya yung nagsulat. Kung sino yung gustong mag-direct, siya yung nag-direct. Kung sino yung gustong umarte, siya yung umarte. Parang all aspects nung isang production, na ano namin siya, nabuo namin siya. Tapos, as a team. So, hindi pa siya perfect, pero it was a great first step. Tapos, isa pang kinaka-proud ko kasi we had an advocacy back then. Parang yung play na yon about human rights. Ay, hindi, human trafficking. So, nakaka-proud siya. And also, siguro yung sa favorite subjects ko, yung subjects ko nung yung first year ako na first semester. Parang ayun talaga yung dalawang subjects ko noon. It was Theory 1 and Acting. So parang dun ko na-prove na I really like this program. Tapos I will really continue studying kasi nag-enjoy ako dun sa subjects ko nun. Tapos ang ganda foundation kasi nun for me, yung Theory 1. Parang na-review ako sa lahat ng theory na pinag-aralan ko nung undergrad. Tapos nadagdagan pa yung knowledge. And then hanggang ngayon kasi parang na-apply ko pa rin siya dun sa research ko and dun sa thesis ko. Tapos with acting naman, parang ayun din, same, ang gandang foundation niya. Tapos hanggang ngayon na-apply ko siya dun sa craft. So, super thankful talaga ako dun sa first year, first sem na subjects ko. And with Mata Productions. Yun.
Yes, theory, acting, and Mata for Alex. How about the others?
I'd like to echo what
Roger,
Alex
would you like? Yes.
Talk about the theory. Critical theories is something I never expected in UP Diliman. I thought that what I was going to do when I enrolled in the program is I'm going to do acting, lots of acting, and then directing. And then, of course, if you have a professor like Sir Anril Tiatko, he would really encourage you to read. Otherwise, babasagin ka niya. So one of the things that really sparked my interest are the theories, because one of the discoveries about myself is that I always imagine the theories, most especially of translating it in the staging or in the practice. So it's translating that knowledge or the theory into the creative path. So probably one example about translating knowledge to creativity is that understanding, the discovering, I'm most especially discovering the tension between the text and the power of the staging, that there are things that words cannot produce, and it's only in theater where you see it through the music, the movements, the scenes, and the audience reaction. And it validated everything that I've learned before I enrolled in the program. And not only it validated, but it also strengthened. And these bodies of knowledge that I've learned in theories also helped me become a better educator, because it's in these theories that I've also learned how to understand of creating a better method to teach theater, most especially that I'm a teacher. So I think that part there really helped me a lot.
For me, the highlight, so una muna yung experiences ko with joining events, productions. So, diba, expected sa atin na maging part ng events, yung dramaturgical aspect, and then sa productions din. So kasi ang tagal ko na hindi naging part ng production, nung pagpasok ko sa program, sobrang na-immerse ako. Para ako nag-start from scratch kasi. So, highlight yun sa akin kasi nagising ako na ito na yung sistema ng productions, even ng events. So, dun talaga ako nabigla na ang tindi pala ng preparation, ng artistic preparation ng events sa UP, and lalo na ng productions sa UP. So that's the first, yung highlights. Another thing na highlight sa akin, kasi ito yung nagpaano sa akin parang naging means para magstay sa program, manatili sa program. Yung mga chikahan ng classmates after classes. So, kahit na matapos yung class ng sobrang late, na 9, 10 p.m., kahit yung mga mabilisang chikahan sa labas ng classroom, sa baba ng building, even sa jeep. So yun, sobrang nakakamiss yun, lalo na sa sitwasyon natin ngayon. And then with courses, I agree with Alecks and Emman. Talagang Theater 203, o yun, in Theory 1, most memorable subject dahil doon na pinanganak, kumbaga, doon nabuo yung thesis, yung tinatahak na thesis ko ngayon. And kung wala yung subject na yun, siguro mangangapa pa rin ako kung ano yung tatahakin kong thesis. And I'm thankful na take ko siya siguro second sem kasi kami second sem pumasok. So second sem ng first year ko sa program. And I'm lucky enough dahil as early as that, medyo na nagkaroon na ako ng goal ng pupuntahan na thesis at the end of the program. And then other than that, 299 dahil ito na yung kailangan mo nang isulat. And also yung cognates. So dahil yung cognates tayo na yung pumili. So sobrang laking tulong ng mga subjects na yan sa akin. And thank you.
Siguro sa akin ang isa sa mga highlights ng pagiging nasa program ay yung pinaka-first na experience ko ang mag-perform sa UP, sa FAUS. So yun, kasi nung nandun ako sa FAUS, ang dami kong naging questions sa sarili ko at saka sa mga ginagawa ko. Parang, wait lang, tama ba yung ginagawa namin na paggawa ng mga performances? So yun yung mga questions ko. Baka mali pala yung mga ginagawa namin, parang ganun. Pero eventually naman is nasagot naman yung mga tanong ko na yun nung tinuloy-tuloy ko yung studies ko. Tapos yun yung isang highlight na talagang hindi ko makakalimutan, yung umarte sa Guerrero. Ayun. So, sa subject naman, ang pinaka nagustuhan kong subject is yung dramaturgy. Kasi of course, ang mga topics ng mga theater productions na ginagawa namin ay may nai-involve na culture. So, may mga elders kami na very strict when it comes to culture. Kailangan ito dapat, kailangan authentic dapat. Pero nung nasa dramaturgy class na ako, parang, okay, so kapag gagawa ako ng production, kailangan palang maging critical, kailangan palang pag-isipang maigi kung gagamitin ko ang isang bagay, dapat may justification siya, hindi siya basta-basta para wala kaming na-offend na cultural group or indigenous community. So, malaking tulong siya on my part para hindi ako pagalitan ng mga elders, para din maibigay yung tamang information, especially na sa ngayon ay may mga misconceptions pa rin when it comes to the indigenous community, sa mga Igorot, sa mga indigenous communities sa Cordillera region. So, yun lang. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. So I guess for you it was performing. Emman was smiling as well. I guess he also remembered his performances in Guerrero and dramaturgy. Thank you for enlightening us how dramaturgy helped you in creating your performances.
We heard our speakers na talk about the experiences nila as an MA student. So I think it's also high time for us to also ask our speakers at this point kung ano yung kanilang mga respective areas of interest, and as well as the studies or research that they are currently doing right now.
I'm currently doing history, reenactment, and cultural memory, and a little bit of tourism. So cultural memory is about how do we reframe the events in the past, in the present. So meaning, how do we perform these particular events, most especially important events in history, in the present through the reenactment. So first, I never really thought about that. It's 2021 is the 500 years. One of the things that UP really taught me was it allowed me to have a deeper understanding about my roots, about my culture. Because of course, no, I will not deny this that I grew up in the city, and of course, if you grew up in a metropolitan kind of culture, like very city na culture, so you don't really get to see all these things. You oversee these things, and it's because of the theories and the readings that I've had in UP. It made me appreciate it more. So for the Kadaugan sa Mactan, it is a very important study because of course Christianity started there, no? When Magellan introduced the Santo Niño, the image of Santo Niño to Humabon. Then of course, unfortunately, because of his arrogance, he died in the hands of Lapu-Lapu, whom we consider as our hero here in the Philippines. And in that regard, so it's very important to have this research so that we could also highlight something in the past here in the Philippines, which the West never really talked about it or never really wrote about it because, like, number one, the West never really wrote about Lapu-Lapu. He was never acknowledged as a hero. He was acknowledged always as a villain. My study has something to do about history, cultural memory, reenactment, and tourism. So tourism is how the community performs the reenactment. So the title of my thesis is the Kadaugan sa Mactan reenactment, which was done since 1979. So this is the Kadaugan sa Mactan, the battle which happened in 1521 that year, specifically on April 27, is the first recorded Philippine battle in history that won over foreign oppressors. And I think this is very important, most especially that we're approaching the 500 years of Christianity. So particularly on Lapu-Lapu's remarkable victory in Mactan, Cebu, this study does not only instill nationalism in the hearts of the local Cebuanos, because one of the best things that UP taught me is to reconnect with my roots, that there is treasure in my culture. And it's because of that gift I was able to look back again and I saw that, hey, the reenactment, nobody is writing about it. No? So I was very happy that, and my advisor was very happy as well, that I chose this study. And of course, through the reenactment, it's also site-specific, in terms of the space, because the people in Mactan believed where the usual reenactment happens is they believe that that's where the actual battle also happened back in 1521. And the historical reenactment gives a group of people like us, Filipinos, state or nation, a sense of identity, history, and resiliency. Just like the museums, monuments, and many others, the reenactment is also part of heritage making. And second, one of the things that reveals in the reenactment is Lapu-Lapu's identity. Because in the Western text, Lapu-Lapu was never acknowledged as a hero. He's acknowledged as a villain because of Lapu-Lapu, parang sinasabi siya yung kontrabida, no? Because when Christianity was introduced in the Philippines, why would you go against that? So therefore, parang na-label siya as the villain. Well, in fact, he's our hero. And of course, Lapu-Lapu as a historical figure also transitioned into a mythical figure, and which relates to orality. And this manifestation is how Lapu-Lapu is internalized in the community. And therefore, this contributes again to a sense of identity and national development. And third, Cebu's role as the seat of Christianity in the Philippines. And one image that was introduced when Magellan came, he baptized Humabon and his wife. He brought with him the Santo Niño that led to one of the biggest festivals in our country, which is the Sinulog. And of course, Sinulog is also done in Iloilo. So parang nag-connect din siya doon kahit papano. So that's why this history is also my thing. Something that, and I was so happy that I was able to take cognates in art studies, something to do with art history and perspective in the arts, and that really helped me molded my my writing to make it even concrete and solid. So there.
So the research that I'm currently doing is the Langay Festival of Mountain Province. So I'm looking into the Langay Festival as how does the Langay Festival perform a concept of a nation. So Langay means sharing of food or food in itself. So in order for me to understand how the members of the community perform a concept of a nation, tininan ko muna yung mga indigenous concepts na magiging useful din as a framework for me to analyze how the Langay Festival perform a concept of a nation. So una is yung ili. So the concept of ili. So ili is like a community, yung kung saan ka pinanganak, kung saan ka galing, saan yung origin ng family mo. We have this so-called naikautan di pusag, yung kung saan parang ibinaon yung bahay bata mo nung pinanganak ka, parang ganun. Isa yon yung ili, and then I also look into the concept of the dapay. Dapay is yung circular na area kung saan nagpo-perform yung mga members ng community. So ito yung pinaka political institution at saka socio-political institution ng isang ili. Tapos I also look into the peace pacts, yung kung bakit may mga nag-i-exist na mga conflict within communities at kung paano nila nasisettle using their indigenous concept of peace pact. And then lastly, I also look into the ugbo or binadang. This is similar with the concept of bayanihan among the Tagalog community. So, yun po.
Thank you, Roger, for sharing your the details of your current study on the Langay Festival.
Okay, so my field of interest, it's eco-theater. So, it deals with the environment. Parang there's this theorist kasi, si Una Chowdhury, and she's a professor in New York University. Na-discover ko siya when I was taking up dramaturgy. Tapos, kasi at that time, I was working sa DENR noon for Gina Lopez. And she introduced me sa rehabilitation ng Pasig River. Tapos, we visited a lot of esteros. Tapos kasi di ba part ng rehabilitation is to clean up the creeks first. Kasi paano mo nga naman lilinisin yung malaking body of water kung yung interconnected sa kanya na smaller bodies of water ay madumi. And with water kasi hindi naman siya isang linisan lang tapos okay na. Parang continuous kasi yung process niya. And when you finish cleaning an estero, it doesn't mean na tapos na yung work mo. Kasi yung pwede ulit siya madumihan kasi nga flowing kasi tubig siya. So, nung time na nakasama ko si GL dun sa project niya, parang nakita ko kasi kung ano yung difference nung, kasi diba sa mga estero, maraming mga taong nakatira dun. Tapos, when an estero is rehabilitated, nagbabago talaga yung quality of life. It becomes better. Parang kumuha sila ng parang nag-survey sila ng mga taong nakatira doon, parang before and after. Bumaba yung crimes, bumaba yung number ng mga nagkasakit. Tapos, ang nakakatuwa pa, nagvo-volunteer talaga sila to be eco-warriors. Nagiging river warriors sila, na sila mismo yung naglilinis nung estero. So, alam mo yun, parang nagkakaroon ng transformation doon sa community. So, it hit me na since ang environment ay kailangan niya ng support, parang kasi advocacy siya tapos it needs all the support it can get. Parang why not yung performance ay emerge ko. Tapos, like kasi ako natatanong na bakit na magkaiba yung field ko, na nagtatrabaho ako sa DNR pero yung ina-MA mo, theater. Di ba? Parang ang layo. Tapos parang naisip ko, hindi naman talaga kasi collaborative ang theater and marami kang magagawa with performances eh. Tapos malaki siyang support for advocacies. So, I thought of a project na mapapagsama ko yung dalawa. And I came up with this. Tapos, eco-theater kasi, it deals with the inclusion of the non-human. Kasi di ba parang, yung mga, usually kasi before, parang, dahil sa industrialization, nung 19th century especially, nag-start yan na lagi na lang ang focus ay yung mga achievements ng mga tao, development, progress, hindi na na-consider ang environment. So, magandang example yan ng Pasig River. Like before, we all know na kasama siya sa mga novels ni Rizal, nababanggit siya, tapos ginagawan siya, inspiration siya ng mga kanta, ng mga tula, ng myths and legends. So, part and parcel siya ng culture and history natin. But then, during the 19th century, one of the causes of World War II one of the effects of World War II ay na-pollute siya. And besides, marami kasing companies, di ba, na nag-rise up sa gilid niya, tapos tinatapunan. So, it became biologically dead in the 1990s. Yung sa eco theater kasi, parang sinasabi ni Una Chowdhury na, ayun nga daw, parang meron kasi tayong focus sa human achievements. Nakakalimutan natin i-include ang non-human, which is the rocks, the trees, the fishes, yung other living things aside from us. So, she advocates for a theater that includes the non-human. And I wanted to apply that. So, for my research, magiging application siya ng eco-theater. Ito pa pala isang malaking factor ng eco-theater na sinasabi ni Una Chowdhury. Kailangan site-specific yung performance para hindi maging metaphor ang environment. Para included talaga sila and active collaborators sila sa performance. Like, yung na-envision ko, parang the dream is to do the performance talaga. Pero with the present climate, of course, it's not possible. So, currently, dramaturgical pa yung tinatahak ko. Pero I hope in the future magawa siya. And ang mangyayari kasi, I wanted to utilize the Pasig River Ferry Service para site-specific talaga, di ba? Tapos nasa Pasig River ka talaga. So, everything na nandun ay mapapasama. Kung may stench man, kasali yun. Kung walang stench, kasali din yun kasi it says something. Ibig sabihin, na-rehabilitate na. Kung may stench pa sa part na yun, ibig sabihin, kailangan pa siyang i-rehabilitate, di ba? So, may meaning. Tapos yung presence ng mga bagong tilapia, presence ng janitor fish, presence ng water hyacinths, may include siya. Tapos, the plan is to have a performance bawat station ng Pasig River Ferry, which will be based on the art it inspired before its biological death in the 1990s. So yeah, that's the dream.
So mapapansin natin, Ina, no, with the three guest speakers natin, how enveloped itong fields of interest nila dun sa kanilang passion and advocacies, no, and also their roots, no, sa kanilang cultures. So how about Chaz?
So yes, currently I also looked into my own community. So yung current na wino-work on ko na thesis is Sayaw ng Pagbati, which is a religious dance, a dance tradition in San Dionisio, Barangay San Dionisio in Parañaque. So ang barangay kasi namin is more known with komedya ng San Dionisio. So yun yung starting point ko nun kasi I wanted to look into my community. Ano pa ba yung pwede kong matingnan na cultural performance and dance tradition. And then, ang layo na saan ako tumitingin, and then I realized, nasa harap ko lang pala kasi sa labas lang ng bahay namin, doon pinaperform ang Sayaw ng Pagbati, or ang colloquial term niya is bati-bate or bate. So ito ay ginaganap after salubong, so during Easter Sunday. And ang tingnan ko dun sa dance tradition na to is how the Catholic community in San Dionisio are called ng tradition na ito. Because, paano ko nasabi yun? Dahil kami mismo sa family, we haven't participated as dancer performer nitong tradition. Pero whenever we talk about it, whenever I ask my mother or even my cousins, there's a feeling of debt na parang may utang kami na hindi namin mabayaran dahil hindi kami naging dancer. Because in sayaw ng pagbati, somehow may promise, may responsibility ang families in San Dionisio na yung firstborn daughter should participate as a dancer. No, and then in return ng mga prayers, ayan, favors na ibigay sa iyo ng iyong faith. So doon nag-umpisa yung yung interest ko na bakit kaya ganun? Bakit ganun yung tingin ng mga families in San Dionisio? And yung pagpa-participate kasi sa sayaw ng pagbati, though voluntary, pero merong may ibang factors, kailangan ng time, ng budget. So may tingnan ko yung economic standing ng San Dionisio, and then even kasi ang allowed lang umattend, ang allowed lang mag-perform ay batang babae from 6 to 12 years old. So tingnan ko rin nung bakit babae lang? And then tinitingnan ko ngayon, yung tinetrace ko yung inumpisahan nung sayaw ng pagbati. So somehow papunta na ako dun sa realization na sayaw ng pagbati is a representation, is possibly form of ideology na inculcate sa amin ng aming faith, ng Catholic faith. So, yun yung una. And then hopefully in the future, gusto ko naman tingnan yung gender aspect ng sayaw ng pagbati. Kasi sa barangay namin yun, babae lang. Pero sa ibang barangay, inaalaw ang batang lalaki. And then nagkakaroon din ng community na merge ng iba't ibang barangay, pero ang nagpe-perform ay gays. So not strictly during Easter Sunday, pero nagdo-dress up sila ng kung ano yung ina-expect na damit ng isang batang babae na sumasayaw ng sayaw ng pagbati. And then they have different purposes. No, others say na ito ay panata nila, iba naman ay recognition dun sa pangarap ng kaibigan nila, and so on. So somehow yung purpose ko personal in a community level na other than komedya ng San Dionisio, itong San Dionisio meron pang ibang dance traditions. Parang gusto kong I want to put it out there, to voice it out there na and hopefully yung susunod na generations makilala din nila, malaman nila na may ganito tayo, may kaming ganitong traditions.
Thank you, Chaz, for sharing to us yung current study on the bati-bati. Napansin natin, Ina, sa mga na-mention at nabahagi na ating mga speakers, yung kahalagahan na kapag namimili ka, you have to really consider sa gagawin mo, yung saan yung pinagmulan mo, ano yung passion mo, your advocacies, kasi that will really be instrumental para mapagpatuloy mo up until the very end yung mga goals and objectives nila, why they're doing these studies. So I think meron kang naisip na tuhog na question tungkol doon.
I just want to know, before coming into MA Theater Arts, were you already aware that this was what you were going to study, or was the program your vehicle to realize, oh, this is what I want to do research on?
Like I said, when I enrolled in the program, I never thought that I'd be a researcher or a promising theater scholar. I really thought that I was going to act, I was going to direct, I was going to write a play. But as you went along, that's the time when you realize that, hey, I wanted to do this study. Actually, it took me a year before I understood what I really wanted to pursue. And this is my advice to our upcoming future theater scholars who's going to enroll in the program. It really helps that you already know what you are going to write about. And because you have other theory subjects like Panpil like art studies, because within those subjects, you are going to develop them. And once you are able to develop them in these subjects, then once you reach to 299, the colloquium or research subject that we had, then you will not find it hard anymore to write. It's so easy because you already started developing them. So there.
Ako naman is, bago pa lang mag-enroll sa program, nung interview with Sir Andril, binanggit na niya kung ano yung mga expectations sa program. So, kaya nung first year, first sem, lahat ng mga papers na sinasubmit ko ay related sa culture, related sa performances na ginagawa namin dito sa Cordillera. Kasi kapag gagawa ako ng thesis, iniisip ko na ang thesis na gagawin ko ay kung ano yung kaya kong mai-contribute sa community ko, ano yung culture na gusto kong i-study or gagawan ng thesis. So yun, yung naging thesis ko is about sa Langay Festival ng Mountain Province.
For me, no. Parang it was something that I discovered along the way. Parang at first, I thought I was gonna write something about acting or tas nung first year pa ako, nag-try pa ako ng cosmopolitanism. Tas eventually, dahil na rin kasi sa parang journey talaga siya na na-discover ko. Parang dahil din sa mga subjects that I took along the way, parang unti-unti siyang nabuo. Tapos, nakadepende din ng malaki dun sa mga naging trabaho ko habang nag-aaral ako para ma-discover ko kung ano talaga siya. Pero it was really a process for me. Hindi siya yung pagtapa ko ng MA, I knew right there and then na eco theater. Parang lagi siyang mini discoveries that will lead to the other thing until nabuo ko siya na okay, napag-decide ako na ito na. Ayun.
Same with Alex. Ang pagpasok ng program, walang plano. So ang nilagay ko lang, kasi diba meron tayong kailangan sulatan. So ang nilagay ko lang doon, education, kasi nga teacher, and then technical theater. So parang yun yung idea ko. And then yung unang subject ko on theory, on a performance sa Malolos Festival, yung idea ko. Tapos yun, okay naman sa subject, pero nung trinay ko siyang ipasa sa NCCA, hindi siya naging okay. Sabi ko parang hindi pala to okay. So parang nawala yung interest ko doon. And then, ayan, dumating yung 203. And then, doon din, rin yun, exploration, iba yung trinay kong itap. And then, eventually, hindi ko akalain na nung present ko yung bati-bati sa class, overwhelming yung naging reaction ng panel, mga professors natin. And then from there, ayun, yun na yung naging ko. Doon na nag-umpisa na, ito yung pwede kong tahaking landas, yung pwede kong maging interest. So, ganun din, journey, talagang wala akong baon na ganun, hindi ko akalain na yun yung magiging field of interest ko. Not until with recommendations and pagpupush ng ating mga professors, doon ko lang na-realize na posible pala sa akin, pwede pala ako mapunta sa ganitong field.
Yes, so I think it's very important na natin to, na mapag-usapan din natin for this discussion, yung paano nyo na-manage na i-work around itong mga issues na dulot ng ating mga lockdown, ng ating pandemic with regards your studies or your research.
Lucky ako na nagawa ko na yung fieldwork ko nung 2019. So wala pa yung COVID at that time. Ang dami kong what ifs nung nagka-COVID at naawa din ako sa mga batchmates ko na hindi sila maka-fieldwork dahil sa sitwasyon. So buti na lang at na nagawa ko din yung sa akin na nakapag-fieldwork ako nung 2019 dahil nung 2020 na-cancel yung Langay Festival at saka this year na-cancel din siya. So buti na lang. Pero when it comes to writing na yung thesis ko sa sitwasyon ngayon, una, question ko yung sarili ko, tama pa ba itong ginagawa ko? Tama pa ba na nagtateatro ako? Ganito yung nangyayari sa mundo? Hindi pwedeng mag-gather ang mga tao. So paano na ang future ng theater? Yun yung unang mga tanong ko sa sarili ko. So medyo struggle siya nung una. Pero I have to go back sa very reason kung bakit ko pinili ang theater as my profession, kung bakit ako nag-enroll ng theater. So yun, so kailangan ko lang bumalik doon sa purpose ko, sa goal ko kung bakit ako nag-aaral ng theater para bumalik ako doon sa pagsusulat ng aking thesis. So eventually, nasa kwan naman ako, nasa momentum na din ng pagsusulat at hoping na matapos siya by June or July. So yun yung goal ko at siguro napaka-inspiring din ng mga ibang mga theater practitioners sa Manila na say for example yung Sipat Lawin na gumagawa sila ng mga paraan to create performances using virtual as their space. So napaka-inspiring din yung mga ginagawa ng ibang mga theater groups sa Manila na talagang kinakaya nila at pinupush kahit anong mangyari. Tuloy pa rin ang pag-appreciate sa theater. So yun yung nakaka-inspire na kaya naman pala natin pa rin ituloy. So sige, ituloy natin ang ating journey para ating love sa art, sa singing.
Sa akin, inaamin ko po talagang nahihirapan ako ng wagas. Before COVID, as in bago nangyari ang lahat ng ito, sobrang motivated ko talaga. Tapos sobrang lakas ng drive ko na matuloy yung performance. Sinabi na sa akin ni Sir Unreal na hindi naman talaga required gawin yung performance kasi nga pwedeng dramaturgical yung thesis ko. Tapos parang PhD project na lang yung talagang performance. Pero I was so determined to do the performance. As in, bago mag-COVID, meron na akong nakausap ko na Embassy of Spain, tapos may part na ng expenses na sasagutin nila, tapos parang ang daming good news bago mag-COVID. Ayun, na-accept yung abstract ko sa IFTR, pati sa PSI. Tapos akala ko pupunta akong Croatia, pati ng Ireland. So sobrang daming happy nung bago pumutok ang lahat. Tapos sobrang motivated ko na mag-defend. As in, parang schedule ko ng pagtitesis noon, almost everyday akong nasa Tim Hortons o kaya nasa Starbucks. Kasi hindi ako nakapagsulat sa bahay. So, lagi ako nakatambay sa mga coffee shop, tapos nagre-revise ako, nag-e-edit ako ng lahat ng pwede ko i-revise para mapasa ko siya. Tapos, napasa ko naman yung pinakauna kong draft, tapos ayun na, nag-lockdown na. And, naano talaga ako, parang inaamin kong nawala ako sa hulog. Parang lahat ng momentum ko nag-disappear, tapos, I couldn't even open the document. so ganun siya. Tapos, eventually din naman, parang nung nagdaan na yung mga months, I was able to revise again. Pero inaamin ko pa rin na hirap pa rin talaga ako kasi taong labas talaga ako, tapos hindi ako sanay talaga. Parang pag nasa condo ko, ang gagawin ko lang dito mag-Netflix, magpapahinga. Hindi ko ma-reprogram yung utak ko na, okay, mag-thesis ka dyan. Parang hindi talaga parang nahihirapan talaga ako. So, sobrang challenging nitong times na to. Tapos, ayan, I had to let go of the dream na magagawa yung production anytime soon kasi nga, mukha namang hindi talaga. So, alam mo yun, pero tanggap ko naman na yun. So, okay lang. May time naman doon. Pero yun lang, parang to get the motivation, yun yung super challenging nowadays. Tapos, what I'm doing to cope, parang nagsisked ako ng hindi everyday. Tapos hanggang saan ko lang talaga kaya, doon lang ako nag-e-edit or nagre-revise. And yung mga batchmates ko rin na kasabay ko pa sa pagsusulat ng proposal, talagang kinukulit ko na, sabay-sabay tayo. Kasi when it comes to this, hindi talaga ako strong, independent woman. Nahirapan talaga ako. Pero, I guess, coping naman. And yun, with the help of others, kung may kasabay, I think magagawa naman siya. Ayun.
Nakaka-frustrate yung pagdating nung pandemic. So, sa akin, nakaka-frustrate kasi yung performance ko dahil nga, yung inaaral kong cultural performance ay mga bata. So, 2 years in a row na walang sayaw ng pagbati dahil bawal sila lumabas. So, wala silang din plan. And then, I tried reaching out dun sa mga na-interview ko before, so sa mga organizers, and hindi sila nagre-reply. And I'm thinking, siguro yung mas matindi yung frustration nila kaysa sa akin. So, nire-respect ko yun and hindi ko na sila pa kinukulit sa ngayon. Pero it helped na dahil maaga pa lang, first year ko halos ng program, ito na yung interest ko. So, 2018, 2019, meron na akong notes. So, Yun yung nakatulong sa akin. Yun yung gagamitin ko din dito sa pagtutuloy ko sa paper. Ang naging challenge is dahil lockdown, tayo pwede pupunta sa UP. So iba kasi yung feeling ng nasa library ka, doon ka talaga maghahanap, magbabasa. Parang iba yung ambience ng library na nandun ka kumukuha ng related studies. So yun challenge sa akin, paghanap ng related studies. And ang nakatulong, paano ko din nadagdagan yung related studies pero hindi pa naman yung buong buo. Nakatulong ang search bar. Ayan, paghahanap talaga dito sa internet, and then malaking tulong yung sites from UP Library. Also, tapping your classmates who have the same interests. So, ayan, hingi ng notes. So, ano bang meron sila, and share sila ng notes. And also, nakatulong din yung membership. So, yung mga membership sa mga theater organizations kasi they will provide you access sa existing thesis, studies. And then dahil nga pre-pandemic, medyo nakaipon ako ng iilan lang naman na libro. So doon ako kumuha. Kaya maganda nga yung sinasabi din ni Emman na maganda sana na maaga pa lang ma-establish mo na yung interest mo kasi makakaipon ka na eh. Makakaipon ka ng pwede mong gamitin kapag andyan na yung 299. And yung mga previous paper sa ibang subjects. So nakatulong yun. Ang mahirap lang din talagang i-surpass nitong pandemic ay motivation. Yung motivation mo na uupo ka na, kailangan mo nang sumulat, hindi ka na magpapa-apekto sa paligid. Yun yung sobrang mahirap talaga na i-surpass na challenge. And I agree with Alex, malaking tulong yung mga group chat sa mga kaklase, sa mga batchmates. So yung parang kamustahan lang, buhay ka pa ba, kaya mo pa ba, nasan ka na. Ayan, so yung mga ganun, parang time to rant, to rant. Yung ma-share mo lang yung pinagdadaanan mo, tas ma-realize mo, ganun din sila. O paano ba tayo makakapaghilahan para magpatuloy. So, pero at the end, ikaw talaga. Yung utak mo pa rin talaga yung pipigain mo. Pero kung walang tutulong sa yung mag-push, mahirap, mabigat talaga. So, malaking bagay yung mga tao sa paligid mo.
Writing is really difficult, especially for me. I mean, it takes a lot of introspection. It takes a lot of time to think and develop your thoughts. And when I say develop your thoughts, this doesn't take for only a day. It takes weeks sometimes. So going back naman to the pandemic, before the pandemic, I already had goal setting for writing my thesis. I said to myself, I'm not going to accept a lot of projects and I'm going to ask my boss na i-deload ako sa mga ibang subjects where I'm teaching right now. And then the pandemic happened. I don't think I could have write efficiently if I'm always out, no? But because I'm always at home, it gave me a lot of time for myself to write. So what I did, I made my room a little cozier. Yung arrangement, nilinis ko so that para conducive naman yung environment to clean. Because most of the time when I write, nasa coffee shops. I could really write in coffee shops with a little noise and a little ambience. But I also, the physical setup also helped in writing. And then also time management is so important. I am just very happy that I have an advisor, si Sir Unreal, who's very open. Like when I tell him, he asks you first, what is your timeline? What is your target date? He doesn't compel you. He asks you. And then I told him, sir, this is my plan because by 2021, I have to admit, takot ako na aabutin ako sa penalty. No, because for what I know, you have 5 years to finish your program. If you go beyond 5 years, then you have to take at least one subject. Like that's part of the penalty. I mean, the penalty is not about money. It's about taking another subject. So if I take another subject, that would require me again to go back in Manila, and that would really cost me a lot. And for me, that will not be viable anymore. So, yun din ang isa sa mga drive, yung mga motivation ko na hindi ako aabot sa penalty. Otherwise, lagot na naman ako in terms of finances. So far, on point naman ako sa mga timeline na sa mga submission ko. Developing chapter 2 is about the documents, articles, journals. I was very happy that all the books that my advisor recommended me to read, most especially close reading yung approach niya, they're all available online. In fact, I bought like 10 books online. And then, it cost me like probably 4,000. Pero I calculated it. If pagpupunta naman ako ng Manila, pupunta ako sa UP Library, that will cost me probably 5,000 with the airfare, right? And of course, I'd like to acknowledge Roger while he was in Australia. He helped me find those documents as well, those important journals that I had to use in my chapter 2, because he had he was very close to accessing the resource materials in the library where he was in I think Adelaide, Australia yata yun, Roger, no? So there, that also helped me a lot. And then third, like, with all the pandemic going on, these apprehensions and then the news that you read every day, they make you angry. All these apprehensions and frustrations, I always have it in my mind that I will turn this negative energy to fuel myself into writing. It's like shit. You use them like a fertilizer, so that the writing that you've been nurturing, or like the seed that you've been nurturing for years, would someday become a tree bearing lots of fruit. So that's why I'm very excited. And I'm very happy and proud to say that I'm writing my conclusion chapter 5. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Emman, for that very insightful sharing, no, nung how you processed everything during this pandemic and writing at the same time. As a whole, no, dito sa sa pag-share nila on the COVID pandemic, how important it is for scholars and students to find ways on how they can cope, how they can condition themselves, and also motivate, no? So whether by yourself or by asking help from your peers, colleagues, katulad nga ng sinabi ni Chaz and Emman, important talaga na before you even start with the program, you have a clear idea already of what you want to do para you can already prepare beforehand, no? Kasi hindi natin syempre nape-predict yung mga nangyayari sa mundo, and also taking advantage kung anong resources meron online, no? Like what we have sa UP right now.
Yeah. And gusto ko lang idagdag, I don't know if I mentioned it kanina, a lot of people think that when you're taking your masters, it's a very lonely thing to do. But as we heard from our panelists today, grabe din yung, especially now, during a pandemic, yung motivation ng batchmates and classmates to, keep each other going while, you feel like you're losing your motivation. You text or chat your batchmate na, no, we have to, yung goal is let's finish together or we're going to get through this together. Isang interesting thing lang siguro na gusto sigurong marinig ng mga viewers natin, what are the channels and also scholarships or even opportunities that you were able to encounter while taking your MA? Especially siguro baka pwede nyo i-share sa amin yung participation nyo sa mga conferences, local and international.
I'll start kasi para ako pinaka-konti na experience dito sa conferences. So, yung una kong conference is IFTR 2018. So, nilibre lang ako noon ng program. So, kailangan ko lang mag-member. So, ayun, isa sa mga perks siguro dahil sa mga professors natin kapag sila organizer, medyo nadadamay tayo doon. And then IFTR 2019, ayan, so Shanghai yung venue. Also still through the recommendation of our professors, Prof. Sir Anrel Pinatotiatco and Sir Brian Viray. So I was able to request for a grant ng Office of International Linkages na under OVPAA, Vice President for Academic Affairs. So yan, sila yung nag-fund nung ko doon, financial aspect for IFTR 2019. And then andyan din ang NCCA. So kahit nga sabi ko kanina hindi nila na-approve yung ko noon proposal, pero palaging merong opening ang NCCA for projects. And meron din tayo sa di ba, sa OICA. So sa still in UP, meron silang mga offers na pwede nating subukan magpasa kung kailangan natin ng financial backup sa ating mga papers. Ayun.
Ako naman is siguro ito yung isa sa pinaka-highlight ng pagiging nasa program ko. Yung isa ako sa recipients ng Cooperate program. So nung pumunta ako sa South Australia para maging visiting research scholar sa Flinders University. So, nung nandun ako sa program at nandun ako sa Australia, ang dami kong natutunan. So, meeting Aboriginals, malaking bagay siya para sa akin. So, ang dami nilang mga cultural performances na halos parehas din sa performances na meron kami dito sa Cordillera. So, may nagamit ako sa mga napanood ko na performances nila at na-integrate ko siya sa aking thesis writing. Say, for example, yung Welcome to Country nila, na-relate ko siya sa Lang Ai Festival. Yung parang, ay katamon lang ay ako, for example, come let's eat, na-relate ko siya na parang parehas din sa Welcome to Country na you're welcoming others. So you're opening up your home para sa ibang tao. So napakahalaga niyang bagay. So siguro hindi ko 'yon maiintindihan kung hindi ako pumunta doon. And of course, madami din akong natutunan sa aking advisor doon, si Dr. Peterson. So malaking tulong na siya yung naging advisor ko doon. So talagang kaya mo yan, you can write, sabi niya. Kasi nung nandun din ako at saka nagka-pandemic, parang natakot ako. Kasi paano kung madadamay yung family ko, parang ganun. So parang hindi ako ready na nandun ako sa malayo tapos yung family ko nandito. So yun yung, kaya medyo nawalan din ako ng motivation sa pagsusulat nung nandun ako. Pero eventually naman is nakapagsulat. So yun yung isa nating pwedeng tignan, yung Cooperate program. Malaking tulong siya kasi nabuksan din yung yung ibang aspects ng pagsusulat. Kasi ako, inaamin ko na hindi ako magaling magsulat. Kaya nung nandun ako tapos si Dr. Peterson, sabi niya, you have to submit something by the end of this month so we can see your progress. Parang ganun. So helpful din na binibigyan niya ako ng deadline para makapagsulat talaga ako. And then, ayun, blessing din na nung pagpunta ko doon ay may festival. So, ang daming bago sa paningin ko. So, ang daming mga performances na nangyayari. Tapos, nai-involve din yung mga indigenous communities doon. So, masaya siyang experience. So, at syempre madaming matututunan kapag nandun din sa ibang university. So, yun lang.
Siguro sa akin yung and everyone can check IFTR and PSI and T-Swiss Center. Kasi IFTR, International Federation for Theater Research, and then PSI is Performance Studies International, and then T-Swiss Center, yun. Hindi man ako natuloy dun sa trip dapat last year, pero kasi yung nagustuhan ko with IFTR, pati dun sa tatlo, tinuloy nila ng online conferences. So, yung East West Center, nakapag-present ako doon nung February. And then, this coming June, this coming June, both sa IFTR and then sa PSI. And then, last year, dahil nga hindi natuloy yung conference, parang yung IFTR pati yung PSI, lagi silang gumagawa ng mga webinars. Tapos, iba't ibang topics. Like, for example, yung mga scholarships nga na available. And then, there was a time na attended akong webinar. It's about publishing your first article. Tapos, ang ganda lang ng mga insights na nabibigay nila doon. And then with East West Center, my experience naman nitong February, parang kahit na online siya ginanap, parang you still get to connect with people. Tapos masusurprise ka na ang dami palang scholars na related din sa study mo yung ginagawa nila. So, pwede kayong magtulungan, like mag-exchange ng sources or mag-exchange ng ideas. So, very helpful siya. And pinaka-thankful ako sa Performance Studies International kasi yung naging group ko doon, parang gumawa sila ng Telegram group for us na mga hindi natuloy sa Croatia. Tapos, parang may dalawang projects ako sa kanila na ongoing. Kasi yung isang buong group namin, we're doing a book project. Tapos, planning to publish it. And then, iba't ibang perspectives talaga siya na sobrang amazing na experience kasi 16 kami or 15 na iba't ibang studies, tas iba't ibang levels when it comes to the experience sa academe kasi iba PhD na, tas ako nag-MA, parang tapos iba't ibang lugar, yung pinanggalingan, iba't ibang kultura. So sobrang iba't iba yung yung pinanggagalingan ng mga tao. And yet na ngayon parang almost 70% ng book ay nabubuo na. Tapos very interesting yung naging collaboration kasi Google Docs lang talaga siya, tapos Zoom meetings, tapos exchange of ideas. Tapos very enriching yung experience kasi dami ko natututunan talaga sa kanila. Parang marinig mo pa lang kung paano sila mag-present ng ideas. And sobrang welcoming din nila, parang hindi sila naglo-look down sa mga tao, tapos every idea is accepted. So, nakakatuwa yung experience. And then, from that group pa, nagkaroon pa ako ng mini group na nagpasa kami sa JDTC, Journal of Dramatic Something and Theater Criticism. I forgot the meaning, sorry. Pero, ongoing yung article, tapos it's being reviewed by, editors ng JDTC. Tapos, parang, whether or not ma-publish yung article, it was an experience for me kasi parang hindi ko alam kung before, parang I didn't have an idea kung paano nagpapasa ng article, paano ma-publish. At least ngayon nagkaroon ako ng idea, tapos nakilala ko na rin yung mga tao na na involved dun sa journal na yun. Tapos, ang ganda din nung naging exchange kasi 5 kami, tapos it's about non-human collaboration. And I got to present the Pasig River parang dun sa part nung section ko. So, in a way, enriching pa rin siya kahit hindi natuloy talaga yung mga physical na conferences. Yun.
Ako naman, ever since before I enrolled the program, I always thought, I always think of UP as my ticket to the world. And that impression has stayed until now. Even though I only had one experience in the international arena, being a speaker in the Honolulu, Hawaii, the East-West Center for International Conference of Graduate Students. Sayang lang nga because it was done virtual. It was done online. But the fact that, together with Alecks and Goddess, we were able to present our research, the one that we wrote in line with our thesis in the masteral program. Even though the pandemic did not allow us to go there physically, but the future is the future. I'd like to say it again, UP is the ticket to your world. So I still look forward to having opportunities in the future once everything goes back to normal. So with crossed fingers, yun.
Yes, and taking your MA theater arts in UP also became your ticket to the world. So yun. I hopefully that's very motivating for the people who are watching right now because sometimes some people think you're just gonna come in here to study, but there's a lot of opportunities that you can have once you start taking your masters and you start expanding your network and meeting other people.
Dahil nga napag-usapan natin yung opportunities, the possibilities, and the different grants and different things that you can acquire while you're in the program. I would like to ask our panelists, as wrapping up para sa ating roundtable discussion, what are your thoughts sa future ng theater research and scholarship in the Philippines? And can you also share with us what can you somehow think will help the theater research and scholarship thrive in the years to come?
I think it has a brighter future. No, seriously. Parang, ewan ko, positive yung ano ko, yung naiisip ko. Kasi, parang every year, napapansin ko lang na dumadami din yung enrollees ng program. So, with that pa lang parang ang ganda na niyang basis. And also, as long as we're here, di ba? No, parang may mga taong kagaya natin na who's taking interest in this and nilalaban talaga. I really do think na na maganda yung future niya. Tapos, marami pang marami pa kasing pwedeng i-discover. Like, marami pang baby na field when it comes to theater research. And I believe na may mga taong specific na mahanap yung na yun, yung mga field na yun, tapos i-proliferate nila yung idea and yung concept. So, I think brighter yung yung future ng theater research. Especially, it's a very important and essential part ng theater. Parang, I know na when we think of theater, we usually think of the performance itself. Pero ang laki kasing factor din ng theater research. Hindi lang siya basta-basta. I mean, malaking foundation siya, especially when it comes to the theory, to the application itself. So I guess, as long as may mga taong nagtitake interest nito, and mukhang nadadagdagan naman as time goes by. So maganda yung future. Positive ako.
I agree. Yung thoughts ko, malayo pa. Malayo pa yung mararating ng theater research. Especially now, kahit nasa pandemic, ang theater, di ba, nag-adopt na digital stage. So, dun pa lang, madami na yung pwedeng mapag-usapan. So, also, nakikita ko na mas dadami yung means of appreciating theater o kahit iba yung naging space natin ngayon. And also dahil nga yung pandemic, so may mga traditions na na-pause, pero andyan pa rin yung nagta-thrive pa rin yung conferences na napag-uusapan ito yung panahon na mas na-appreciate natin yung wala na before. So parang mas na-explore yung mga ganoong traditions, cultural performances dahil nga hindi natin na-experience. So, kahit yung ganong opportunity, nakikita natin na, andyan pa din, talagang active pa din yung research, yung theater and performance studies. So, ang tingin kong, instrumental, yes, interest and time. So, importante talaga yun na andun yung interest natin and we give it time para opportunities and spaces na mapag-usapan itong mga ganitong bagay. And ang palagay kong instrumental tayo nag-aaral ng theater, tayong mga nasa field ng theater. So, maganda yung foundation ng UP kasi nakita ko, andyan yung theory. So, lagi tayong may ganoong pag-uusap kahit productions, events. Yan yung magandang parang powerful na kakaiba kay UP dahil laging binaback upan ng pag-aaral yung mga ginagawa, yung mga actions sa mga productions. Kaya yung program mismo is an instrument para mag-thrive ang future ng theater and performance studies.
Thank you, Chaz, for giving your insights. How about Emman and Roger? Ano ang pwede niyong ma-share sa amin na regarding the future?
Ako naman is naniniwala ako na malayo pa ang mararating ng theater sa Pilipinas. Say for example, ang theater kasi is pwede tayong makipag-collaborate sa iba't ibang field. So napakalikot ng teatro. So madami tayong pwedeng gawin. So say for example, we can collaborate with anong tawag na dito, with scientists para mas maipakita natin through art kung ano yung gusto nilang gawin. Pwede din tayo makipag-partner sa mga health practitioners. So yun. So ang daming pwedeng gawin when it comes to theater. And of course, because I love doing performances when it comes to culture. So marami pang mga hindi na pag-aralan dito sa Pilipinas na mga cultural performances na magandang sulatan, gawan din ng writing, kasi hindi natin alam kung hanggang kailan sila maglalas, kung mape-perform pa ba sila. So say for example, ang daming mga performances na hindi na siya na-perform because of this current situation na na-experience natin ngayon dahil sa pandemic. Pero binabalikan natin yung mga sinulat ng mga theater practitioners. Doon tayo kumukuha ng mga inspirasyon para makapagsulat tayo ngayon. Say for example, may mga theater researchers na hindi nakapag-field work dahil sa sitwasyon ngayon. We can always go back sa mga naisulat na at doon tayo huhugot ng inspiration para isulat din kung ano yung gusto nating isulat. So, having said that, I think malayo pa ang mararating ng theater scholarship dito sa ating bansa.
Alright, thank you, Roger. And lastly, Emman.
Forget what Sir Unreal said to us in class, that as artists, it's also our responsibility for knowledge production. At first, I never really knew what that meant until when I was really writing and I was able to reconnect with my culture and history in Cebu. And because of that, I think like what we're doing right now and seeing all of my classmates and the other students to come, I think the theater scholarship in the Philippines is promising. No, most especially I come from a perspective in the Visayas where somehow theater is underrepresented in terms of academic writing. But we're very thankful that we have national artists, Dr. Risil Mujares also wrote about it. And I think because there are somehow there were graduates of the theater program like Popo in Tacloban, and then other future MA students. So I think it's very promising, and at the same time, it's going to be vibrant because understanding that the Philippines were composed of so many nations, and could you like if I could like imagine all of them, it would be a very colorful thing. And of course, my advice to our future theater scholars who's going to take up MA, don't be afraid of being lonely. You know what they always say, that MA is a lonely journey. Well, I had a different experience because for me, it was not lonely. Siguro I'd like to redefine it as something lonesome. You can be lonesome, but not lonely, right? Because most of the time you spend yourself. Like when I joined Dulaang UP, I feel like I'm an outsider nga eh. But with all that experiences, like with all that passion you have and that creative spirit, basta padayon lang yun mo, continue what your goal in life is, you will never be lonely. Lonesome, yes. So yun, just continue and always have that creative spirit.
Thank you to our panelists for giving very good insights no tungkol sa ano ba yung kakaharapin ng theater scholarship dito sa ating bansa in the future. So it really rests on us, na current students and also those who have already graduated, in continuing to research, to do all these studies, and in order for yun nga no mapagpatuloy yung ating nasimulan at yung nasimulan ng mga nauna sa atin.
Yes, and with that question, I believe, unfortunately, we have to end our roundtable discussion. So thank you very much to all our panelists for providing your insights. I believe we have a question from the audience, Nico.
Those who want to answer from our panelists. So, question from Fel. So, as theater scholars, how can we assure that our activism will not end on stage and on paper? And then, what are the things that we can do to make sure that our studies are always relevant, not just to scholars, but to the society as a whole? Who wants to answer first? Okay. Go ahead, Alex.
Ako, I believe, siguro, in one word, my answer will be collaborate. Kasi, parang, going back to my study, I mean, I know parang hindi ko nga magagawa yung performance. But the essence pa rin kasi, especially, I believe din kasi na isa sa mga talagang essence ng theater ay collaboration. Parang, of course, collaborative naman talaga yung theater parang in all aspects. So, I guess ma-apply din siya when it comes to research. Like, for example, in my case, I know that sa present moment na to, hindi talaga magagawa yung dream performance ko. Pero still, it doesn't mean na never siyang magagawa. I mean, in one way or another, COVID will end. I hope. Pero niwala naman ako na this too shall pass. So I guess, parang sa ngayon, I can only work sa scholarly side nitong project ko. Parang wala naman kasi talagang chance na gawin yung performance. Pero I believe na kung sa collaboration pa rin siya mag-end up sometime in the future, it will still be relevant to the society. Tapos, ano kasi siya kung parang hindi lang collaborate mismo with fellow artists, even with the people. Kasi kung kunwari yung concept ko dun sa Pasig River, di ba? Parang ang audience ko kasi dyan yung commuting public. So I guess, kung magiging successful yung production and I could lay the message across, in one way or another, yung audience naman kasi natin, lagi silang may mapupulot dun sa performance. Tapos, hindi man natin kontrolado kung ano yun, pero meron yan. Parang lagi namang may mag-steer up na emotion, lagi namang may mag-steer up na realization. And sometimes that's enough para may magawa ka, para maging relevant yung work mo sa society. Kasi hindi naman din talaga pwedeng isolve ng art or ng performance or ng theater research ang lahat ng problema ng mundo. Pero it can be a step. Tapos, mahalagang din kasi siya, way siya for awareness. So, I think kung magko-collaborate tayo and mapapanood or makakapag-participate yung audience natin dun sa magiging performance na magka-come up dun sa theater research natin, it can do something for society. Tapos, hindi man natin makita ng concrete yun or maybe hindi man instant yung magiging effect niya. In one way or another, meron pa rin yung effect. So, I think yun.
Alright. Thank you, Alex.
Minsan kasi in life, parang if we are too focused sa mga ginagawa natin, minsan nakakalimutan natin yung responsibilities natin with other people, to the environment. So as an environment activist, parang through theater, minsan kapag may napanood tayo na performance, say for example, theater man yan or pelikula man yan, may narinig tayong kanta, tapos narinig natin yun or napanood natin yun, parang ginigising niya tayo sa katotohanan na, oops, we have to do something. Parang say for example, yung mga busy na nagtatrabaho sa kanilang own field, tapos nanood sila ng isang theater performance, for example, parang nag-gather lang yung community to watch something. Tapos napanood nila dito na nagkakaroon na pala tayo ng problema sa global, nagkakaroon ng climate change, meron na tayong problema, kulang na ng tubig, and then oops, oo nga, bakit hindi natin yun napansin? So nakakatulong yung mga napapanood at naririnig natin para magising tayo, kasi kapag very focused tayo sa mga ginagawa natin, yun na nga, may tendency na nakakalimutan natin yung responsibility natin. Kasi itong environment naman na kung sa na meron tayo is hindi naman siya maglalast forever. So kailangan natin siyang alagayan. And I think theater is a very important and a very powerful tool for us to educate the people about environmental preservation and also cultural preservation. Kasi ang say for example, kapag dito sa community, dito sa Cordillera, laging kaakibat ng kultura ang environment kasi ang daming mga cultural performances na related sa environment. So yun, I think theater can really educate people para magising sila or para lang to take a positive role para ma-save ang ating environment. So yun.
For me, importante yung we always keep doing what we're doing. So though we are not sure kung saan makakarating yung advocacies ng production, even ng study natin. But kung tuloy-tuloy lang, eventually magkakaroon ng opportunities. And magiging thankful tayo na marirealize natin meron pala tayong na-touch, ayan, na-tap. And then siguro ano yung pwede nating gawin, reach out, and then kapag may opportunity, grab it. Kaya importante yung ginagawa natin, mag-attend ng conferences, mag-pass ng abstract, and importante kasi yung tinitingnan ko dyan, maganda ng opportunity na mapag-usapan. Yung parang, yung sabi ko kanina, to put the study out there. Basta na paalam mo sa mundo, ayan, sa mga kausap mo. And eventually, magpapasa-pasa. And yun kaya, habang tuloy-tuloy lang yung advocacy mo, still magiging relevant and ma-a-apply yan. May mga mapupukaw tayo eventually in different corners.
I agree with everything that they said, most especially what Alex said, that we may not change this overnight, but certainly it will create a ripple. For that, I think that if you were born with the ability to change someone's perspective or emotions, never waste that gift. It is one of those most powerful gifts, that ability to influence. And if you have that opportunity to write, to tell the story, or to stage it, then use that, most especially for the unheard, the voiceless, and the forgotten. So, yun.
Okay, so thank you, Emman, and everyone for sharing your answer dun sa from our virtual audience. So Ina, to wrap up yung ating roundtable and ang ating Q&A. So it's what really stuck with me was this journey of being an MA student in the theater studies track is not just a self-serving one, not a self-serving journey, but also something that entails responsibilities. No, so and with those responsibilities, we have to be careful not to we have to be mindful of ano ba yung ating purpose, why we are taking this track, this course, no, and also to take advantage of all the opportunities that we have in order to pursue those responsibilities and our goals with our program. How about you, Ina?
Yeah, and also thank you then very much sa Mata at 40 project because through these artist talk we could share to our viewers and siguro yung mga interested mag-enroll sa MA kung ano ba yung what it's like to be on the inside and how this can help them further as artists. So the Mata at 40 project is led and convened by Assistant Professor Brian Elviray, our Mata program coordinator and advisor. Also Ms. Lauren Rivera, our project manager, and to the subcommittee of Mata ARTisTALK 2021 composed by Emman Mante, coordinator, and members Goddess Amparo and Jonas Gabriel.
Okay, so once again, I would like to thank our panelists for sharing and giving time to be part of our ARTisTALK series. And hopefully, maging inspiration ito for other aspiring theater scholars and researchers to also pursue this journey, this vocation in a way. So let's proceed, Ina, with the presentation of certificates. This certificate of recognition is hereby given to Maria Chantel Alexis Ambayec for sharing their expertise in ARTisTALK 2021 as part of the celebration of the 40th founding year of the Master of Arts in Theater Arts program, given this 22nd of May 2021. Signed by Professor Maria Amihan Bonifacio Ramolete, PhD, Dean College of Arts and Letters. Professor Belen D. Kalingacion, PhD, Chair, Department of Speech Communication and Theater Arts. Assistant Professor Brian Elviray, MA in Theater Arts Coordinator and Advisor, and Mata at 40 Project Leader.
Next certificate. This certificate of recognition is hereby given to Chaz Caberos-Bautista for sharing their expertise in ARTisTALK 2021 as part of the celebration of the 40th founding year of the Master of Arts in Theater Arts program, given this 22nd of May 2021, signed by Professor Maria Amihan Bonifacio Ramolete, PhD, Dean, College of Arts and Letters, Professor Belen D. Kalingacion, PhD, Chair, Department of Speech Communication and Theater Arts, Assistant Professor Brian L. Viray, MA in Theater Arts Coordinator and Advisor, and Mata at 40 Project Leader.
This certificate of recognition is hereby given to Emmanuel Jones Valencia Mante for sharing their expertise in ARTisTALK 2021 as part of the celebration of the 40th founding year of the Master of Arts and Theater Arts program. Given this 22nd of May 2021, signed by Professor Maria Amihan Bonifacio Ramolete, PhD, Dean, College of Arts and Letters, Professor Belen D. Kalingacion, PhD, Chair, Department of Speech Communication and Theater Arts, Assistant Professor Brian L. Viray, MA in Theater Arts Coordinator and Advisor, and Mata at 40 Project Leader.
This certificate of recognition is hereby given to Roger S. Federico for sharing their expertise in ARTisTALK 2021 as part of the celebration of the 40th founding year of the Master of Arts in Theater Arts program, given this 22nd of May 2021, signed by Professor Maria Amihan Bonifacio Ramolete, PhD, Dean, College of Arts and Letters, Professor Belen D. Kalingacion, PhD, Chair, Department of Speech Communication and Theater Arts, Assistant Professor Brian L. Viray, MA in Theater Arts Coordinator and Advisor, and Mata at 40 Project Leader.
To everyone who participated today, thank you for sharing your experience while taking MA Theater Arts. Hopefully, our viewers out there were inspired and encouraged by what you have imparted. Again, thank you for letting us be part of another episode of ARTisTALK series. I am Nico Varona.
And I am Ina Azarcon-Bolivar. Again, many thanks at Mabuhay ang Sining. This has been ARTisTALK Series Episode 3, Theater Studies and Research. We thank you for watching and listening to our panel of speakers and moderators. Stay tuned for next week's episode on Learning and Teaching Theater Design, featuring guest speakers Clint Ramos, Barbie Tanchonco, and Raven Ong. Like this page and follow us on Instagram at UP Diliman Mata to stay updated on the latest activities of this year's celebration of the 40th founding year of the UP Diliman MA Theater Arts program.